Shedeur Sanders told to pull up his socks as Browns QB battle reaches boiling point. In the sweltering heat of Berea, Ohio, the Cleveland Browns' 2025 training camp has become more than just a preseason warm-up. It's an NFL crucible where reputations are forged, pressure mounts with every rep, and potential meets reality. At the center of the storm sits Shedeur Sanders, the highly scrutinized rookie quarterback whose journey to prove himself at the professional level is becoming one of the most talked-about narratives of the offseason. Shedeur, the son of Hall of Famer Deion Sanders, arrived in Cleveland with a chip on his shoulder and NFL aspirations burning bright. But what he's encountered so far is a stark, unrelenting reality. There are no shortcuts to success in the National Football League. That's not my place to answer. The attention around Sanders isn't solely due to his famous last name. He was one of college football's most electric signal callers at Colorado, posting eye-popping stats and headline-grabbing plays. Yet, when the Browns selected him in the 5th round of the 2025 NFL Draft, it was a far cry from the early-round projection many experts had predicted just months before. Now, with Cleveland's quarterback room crowded by seasoned veterans like Joe Flacco and Kenny Pickett, as well as fellow rookie Dillon Gabriel, Sanders finds himself relegated to developmental reps and scout team snaps. In drills, he's been seen throwing to equipment staff rather than top-tier receivers. It's a humbling introduction to life in the NFL. Asked about his limited role, Sanders remained composed. "That's not my place to answer," he said, exuding a quiet resilience. "I know who I am. I can never feel less than any circumstance." Trial by fire, facing the first-team defense with the second-team offense. While other quarterbacks enjoy the luxury of clean pockets and elite weapons, Sanders has been thrown into what some analysts are calling a brutal test. He often runs second- and third-team offenses against Cleveland's starting defense, a unit that includes elite talents like Myles Garrett and Denzel Ward. It's a tall order for any rookie, let alone one learning the complexities of an NFL playbook while under the weight of expectation. Chris Broussard, co-host of FS1's First Things First, highlighted the uphill battle Sanders faces during a recent segment. "If he looks good against the first-team defense, he's not doing it with the first-team offense, so I do like that," Broussard explained. "It's important to see what he can do this season, because if he's good, maybe you have your franchise quarterback. But if he's not ready, then you know he's not the guy." It was a blunt but honest assessment. Broussard continued, emphasizing how the Browns' 2025 campaign may serve as Sanders' true audition, not only for a roster spot, but for his entire future in Cleveland. "You've got to see if Shedeur is anything special," he said. "This is the time to find out. No excuses, only reps." Injuries have opened doors across the league, and Cleveland is no exception. With Kenny Pickett sidelined by a hamstring strain, there's room for movement on the depth chart. But even then, the top practice reps have largely gone to Joe Flacco and Dillon Gabriel. Why is Sanders still waiting in the wings? NFL insider Albert Breer offered some clarity, noting that Sanders entered training camp with a notable disadvantage. "He had a bigger learning curve than Dillon Gabriel. He was pretty far behind," Breer said. "That's why he hasn't seen first-team action yet." Head coach Kevin Stefanski has kept his quarterback depth chart intentionally flexible, telling reporters it's written in pencil. Still, every decision, every rep has a purpose. For Sanders, the coaching staff is watching not only how he performs, but how he reacts under duress. And that's precisely what makes these early camp reps so valuable. Sanders may not be lighting up the stat sheet, but he's facing the Browns' best defenders on nearly every snap. Each completion against that unit is hard-earned. Every mistake is magnified. Eric Mangini's warning: flashy doesn't mean ready. Former NFL head coach Eric Mangini wasn't as charitable in his evaluation. "All of his reps have been with the back-end guys. That's a good decision," Mangini said, implying that Sanders hasn't yet earned the right to face NFL starters with full support. Mangini also dismissed Sanders' off-season workout videos, which often featured him throwing precise darts to backup receivers in shorts. "That's not real football," Mangini warned. "What matters is what you do when the pads come on." And that moment of truth is fast approaching. August 8th. Circle the date. Sanders' first true test arrives August 8th, when the Browns face the Carolina Panthers in their preseason opener. For Sanders, this is more than a dress rehearsal. It's a live audition under the brightest lights he's faced since college. Only now, the stakes are exponentially higher. Every throw, every read, every decision will be dissected. For better or worse, it will be the first real opportunity for fans, analysts, and the coaching staff to evaluate whether Sanders is more than a developmental prospect. He knows the spotlight is coming, but if his recent words are any indication, he's ready for it. "It doesn't faze me," Sanders said, referencing the adversity he's faced throughout his career. "There's nothing that is a challenge." It's a bold statement. Now he'll have to back it up. A franchise starved for stability. The Browns' recent quarterback history reads like a carousel of short-term hopes and long-term letdowns. From Baker Mayfield to Deshaun Watson, the team has swung for the fences and struck out more often than not. But as Sports Illustrated's Alex Kay put it, iron sharpens iron. For the first time in years, the Browns have a quarterback room deep with options, each bringing unique strengths and weaknesses to the table. Joe Flacco offers veteran stability. Dylan Gabriel is consistent and cerebral. Shedeur Sanders, meanwhile, remains the wild card. Raw? Yes, but armed with undeniable talent and charisma. Potential isn't given, it's taken. Throughout NFL history, some of the league's most iconic quarterbacks began their careers as overlooked backups. Tom Brady, a sixth-round pick. Kurt Warner, undrafted. Dak Prescott, a fourth-rounder. What separated them was not draft position. It was the ability to seize the moment when it came. Shedeur Sanders isn't asking for charity. He's waiting for his chance to prove he belongs. And in the meantime, he continues to grind. He studies film. He takes notes. He shakes off bad reps and builds on good ones. He's not seeking headlines. He's seeking growth. The real stakes: Cleveland's long-term future. If Sanders can perform, he offers Cleveland something it hasn't had in a long time. A young, high-upside quarterback worth developing. If he falters, the franchise may look to 2026, where prospects like Arch Manning loom large. That's the reality of the NFL. It's brutal, it's fast, and it waits for no one. Shedeur Sanders knows this, and while critics point to his famous last name and social media following, the rookie has chosen to let his actions speak. He's not asking for first-team reps. He's earning every one he gets. Final thoughts. A story still being written. Shedeur Sanders' journey is far from over. It's still early days, and the road ahead is filled with obstacles. But what separates the great from the forgotten is how they handle adversity. In Cleveland, Sanders is showing he won't run from the challenge. He'll face it even when the odds are stacked against him. He'll throw to backup receivers behind a patchwork offensive line. He'll study film after midnight. He'll compete until the very end. Because in the NFL, you don't get handed a future. You fight for it. And Shedeur Sanders? He's just getting started. Joe Flacco's QB1 days are numbered as Shedeur Sanders takes next step, says Browns insider. It's a new season, but the same old question persists in Cleveland. Who will finally become the quarterback the Browns can trust for more than just a stretch of games? In 2023, the answer, to the surprise of nearly everyone, was Joe Flacco. A veteran pulled off the couch mid-season. Flacco stepped into the chaos of a Deshaun Watson-less Browns offense and somehow brought order. For wins in 5 starts, playoff berth, a fan base chanting his name. It was storybook. Now, in 2025, that fairy tale might be reaching its final chapter. Despite his heroics 2 years ago and a brief stop with the Colts in 2024, Flacco's return to Cleveland this season is not about a legacy. It's about keeping the boat afloat until the future arrives. And according to multiple reports and insider observations, that future is closer than ever in the form of rookie quarterback Shedeur Sanders. From chaos coordinator to stopgap veteran, Joe Flacco's improbable 2023 campaign made him a folk hero in Cleveland. His late-season run didn't just bring stability. It brought hope to a franchise constantly grasping at straws under center. His veteran poise was unmatched, his deep ball still precise, and his composure under pressure set a standard. So when Cleveland faced uncertainty again in 2025, with Kenny Pickett dealing with a hamstring injury and rookies Shedeur Sanders and Dillon Gabriel still acclimating to the NFL, Flacco was the natural fallback. At 40 years old, he doesn't bring long-term upside, but he does bring something the Browns coaching staff desperately values: reliability. Kevin Stefanski, never one to get caught in media-driven hype, made it clear that Flacco wasn't just here to babysit the rookies. With Pickett sidelined, the Browns were counting on the veteran to steady the team through a grueling early-season schedule. And yet, the writing is on the wall. Flacco's leash isn't long. As Bleacher Report's Alex K. noted, the moment Cleveland starts slipping or the rookies start flashing, expect the pivot. Flacco's time machine has limits. While Flacco earned credibility with his 2023 run, 2024 revealed the limitations. In his 6 starts with the Colts, he posted a 2-4 record with a 10-7 TD/INT ratio. It wasn't all his fault, but the tape showed a quarterback increasingly battling his own physical decline. The arm strength was there, but the mobility wasn't. The windows were tighter. The errors came faster. No one is pretending this is the 2012 Super Bowl MVP version of Joe Flacco anymore. That version put up an 11 o'clock TD/INT ratio in the postseason and cashed in with a $120.6 million deal from the Ravens. That version earned whispers of comparisons to Joe Montana. But this version, he's the bridge, not the destination. A gap filler. A season presence meant to guide the Browns through September, maybe October, before the franchise inevitably begins looking to the future. And that future has a name: Shedeur Sanders. Shedeur's statement at camp: "I'm not just here to learn." The quarterback competition in Berea has been anything but conventional. Most of the early camp headlines centered around Flacco's leadership and Pickett's absence. But quietly, methodically, Shedeur Sanders has been turning heads. On day 7 of Browns training camp, Sanders made his first real on-field statement. No longer running with just the backups, the 5th-round rookie finally saw meaningful reps against the Browns' first-team defense. And the difference was palpable. Running play action, manipulating coverage, zipping throws into tight windows, Sanders didn't look out of place. In fact, his slant pass to Gage Larvadain was a textbook read-and-react play that screamed NFL ready. Of course, there were hiccups. A skipped dig route here, a hesitant check down there. But for every miscue, there were flashes of something more: poise, vision, control. Qualities that don't show up on stat sheets, but resonate loudly in quarterback rooms. Not just competing, climbing. Sanders isn't just in a quarterback competition. He's climbing it. What began as a low-stakes, 5th-round curiosity has blossomed into a genuine push for playing time. There's a momentum around Sanders, not hype, but gravity. He's earning respect the only way that matters: through action. On July 29th, Sanders connected deep with Luke Floria for a touchdown, then followed it up with a perfectly placed red zone dart to Deontay Johnson. These weren't scripted reps against walk-ons. These were against NFL starters. And they were clean, decisive throws, the kind you don't often see from rookies this early. Most quarterbacks would have called it a day after those flashes. But Sanders wasn't done. Long after practice wrapped, with the sun dipping low and players filing out, Sanders remained on the field. Alone. Working. Throwing. It was Browns insider Brad Stainbrook who captured the moment. Practice ended about 10 minutes ago. #Browns rookie QB Shedeur Sanders still out here. It wasn't a photo op. It was a glimpse into the mindset of a player determined to rewrite his story. Stefanski watches and waits. Kevin Stefanski has always played it close to the vest. He values discipline over drama. He doesn't play favorites. But even he can't ignore what's happening. Shedeur has a command about him, one Browns staffer reportedly said. He's not flashy, but you can tell he's built for this. The staff has taken notice of Sanders' work ethic, his willingness to absorb the playbook, and his control at the line of scrimmage. It's not just about arm talent anymore, it's about trust. And that trust is building rep by rep. Ownership distance or calculated support. Team owner Jimmy Haslam has largely stayed quiet on the quarterback situation, saying only Andrew Barry made the call when asked about drafting Sanders. But Haslam knows what this franchise has endured. He's seen 30-plus quarterback cycle through since 1999. He doesn't need reminding. If Sanders continues to show signs of being the guy, don't expect the front office to drag its feet. They didn't invest a fifth-round pick in Deion Sanders' son just for marketing value. They saw something. Now, that something is showing up at practice. What about Dillon Gabriel? It's worth noting that Sanders isn't the only rookie making strides. Dillon Gabriel, another mid-round pick, has drawn praise for his composure and communication skills. He's shown flashes of being a high-end backup or even a future starter. But while Gabriel is consistent, Sanders is electric. One is a stabilizer, the other has star potential. And in a league that thrives on upside, it's easy to see why momentum is shifting towards Sanders. The clock is ticking. Joe Flacco may still be QB1 on the depth chart, but it feels more like a bookmark than a title. With Pickett expected back soon and Sanders rising quickly, the Browns' quarterback room could look very different by mid-season. Alex K of Bleacher Report said it best. The moment Cleveland starts slipping or the rookies start flashing, expect the pivot. That moment may be closer than we think. Final word. The future is knocking. Shedeur Sanders isn't just surviving NFL training camp, he's thriving in it. From deep throws to late-night practice sessions, from film room leadership to field-level grit, he's checking every box the Browns could have hoped for. He's not here to back up Joe Flacco. He's here to take his job. And based on everything coming out of Berea, that day may not be far away.